Welcome in, everybody, to Running the Riffs coverage of the Collegiate Championship for League of Legends. It is the CLOL Top 8 TDS. We've had a very long road so far, but the road is not over yet. As we've got a really intriguing matchup on hand here between Winthrop University and St. Clair College.
Exactly. It's been a long while since these teams have been playing, but it's also not over yet. We reached the double elimination part of the tournament, the place where even one mistake is not going to cost you your whole year compared to other series previously. And with this one, there's going to be a lot of thinking going through because these two teams have a lot to show and a lot that we can wait and can't wait to see today. As these are potential powerhouses, one powerhouse and one potential powerhouse in the making, pretty much.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned with the double elimination stage, that's going to be absolutely big for both of these teams, who are teams that are a little strange coming into this top eight, right? It seems like Winthrop University is trying to get back on track, looking to prove it in against a tough opponent in St. Clair College today. Meanwhile, St. Clair, they want to prove that they are a top eight talent. And that double elimination stage will obviously come big into play. Your dreams are not dead once you are done
Yep.
this weekend.
Exactly, and that's really important. It's a way to try and recover from a bad performance, right? Even if you perform badly today or there's things that you still have to try and recover from, there's always going to be that next chance, that lower bracket run potential, those potential three more games that you can have, and it's almost always going to work out for you. But it's going to be fun seeing how both of these teams perform today because this could be an indication of what's to come as well.
And speaking of what's to come, let's take a look at the bracket, right? We got a lot of games going on this weekend. So you can see any surprises here, TDS, other than the obvious one at the bottom right.
Exactly. The biggest one is that O2 looking kind of spicy, but yep, MU 3-0ing F Fisher. I think very little people didn't expect this to come through. MU looking like the grand favorite in general. It's simply just because of how well they've been doing. They've been really showing up here, haven't lost the series yet. Whereas there's a couple of teams here that we still have our doubts on. There's still teams that are trying to set themselves up. And this matchup that we're getting, Winthrop against St. Clair, could be a potential defining factor on who can battle against Maribel, because if not, they may have one of the strongest paths towards the grand finals.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at today's schedule that we have. We got a lot of games cooking up. Well, this weekend schedule, I should say, right now, that Ole Miss and Northwood game ongoing. After that, you're going to get SLU versus UST, which might
Yep.
just be the matchup of the weekend. And then tomorrow, obviously, you can see we're not quite sure who we're going to see, but you can take a look at the potential teams, the potential matchups we'll see.
Yep.
If the Saints lose today, that matchup against Fisher would be pretty interesting.
Exactly. It would be kind of a who can overcome their tougher opponent, right? Because one's facing the number one team in everyone's minds, and the other is facing the number two team in a lot of people's minds as well. So it's kind of who can overcome that sort of mindset, especially in an elimination bracket. That can be a little bit of a defining factor moving forward, as well as looking at the other potential matchup because Winthrop against Maryville, one constant thing about collegiate has been that matchup, and over the years, even though it's been changing and been trying to be improved on, Maryville still has the head-to-head in that if they go towards that.
Yeah, and one thing we want to do before we really get into the nitty gritty of this match, we want to thank all of our donators. Everybody, seriously, thank you all so much for chipping in any amount that you could spare. And we want to thank Genji and Ole Miss, our two name sponsors. Be sure to donate if you have the opportunity to. There will be a donation link below if you want to help support the Collegiate Championship, support all the students who really have put in so much hard work this year and deserve to have an event like this broadcasted to the world. But now, TDS, it is time to really dig into this matchup. We mentioned it earlier. It's two teams that have ulterior win conditions, right? Not
Yeah.
ulterior win conditions, but like ulterior conditions to perform this weekend, right? It's not just about winning; it is about sending a message.
Exactly. They've been leaving doubts in a lot of people's minds. They are here because they are strong, but they certainly are still teams that are leaving something to desire. And we want to see how they can keep on improving, keep on performing, and try and bring it up to the tougher competition. Because once again, the pinnacle looks like to be Maryville, and you want to get there in the best way possible, get as close as possible. Because if not, Maryville may just be an insurmountable mountain, especially for one of these two teams that see them as their main rivals.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll start to see who these rivals are and if there are any interesting rivalries today as we get to our starting lineups. Take a look at Winthrop University in the top lane. It's Denethor. In the jungle, it's Wakao. Mid lane, Sword. And the bottom lane, one of the best in CLOL, Mobility and Chookies.
Exactly. One of the better bot lanes, one of the more hyped bot lanes, and quite a strong team in general. They've been having so much highs and a couple of lows here and there, and they can do a lot with this roster. Hopefully, they can keep on performing like we're expecting.
Yeah, and Wakao and Sword were two new additions compared to the roster of last year. The last
Yep.
two stones that Bo needed, the director of Winthrop University. They've put together the Infinity Gauntlet, right? You have Coach Artemis and Manager Gabrielle as the Mind Stone. You can see all the other players, right, that are ready. They finally assembled the gauntlet. They're ready to go. And they're gonna have to take on a scrappy team, right? You got a scrappy team in St.
Yeah,
Clair who's gonna try to take down Thanos.
exactly. They will do their best to try and take down Thanos with the gauntlet, by the way. It's one thing without the gauntlet and one thing with the gauntlet, and we're going to see if they are able to pull it off. But St. Clair have their tools, and they are not going to shy away from trying to be the right answer to the Thanos of Winthrop.
Yep, and we do have St. Clair's roster today. It's a good one, right? They have really some bright spots here. Ricky
Yeah.
Lafleur in the top lane, Maddie in the jungle, Bakery Boy in the mid lane, and the bottom lane of Rock Boom, a very very excellent known quantity in Miracle, who's been a relative surprise. He's been playing just as well as Rock Boom.
Exactly. It's one of the newer additions. It's one of the newer attempts at them, and it's the way that they've set up this team to try and fight against the Thanos, right? Particularly the change of the bot lane, adding that extra spice to what St. Clair was able to do, and we have a way to show that to everyone, really.
Absolutely. What better way to take down Thanos than to assemble the Avengers? This is the Avengers, right? Because you have your two studs in Rock Boom and Miracle as your Captain America, as your
Yep.
Iron Man, but then you got a fantastic supporting cast, with Bakery Boy over on the far left side playing Black Widow, Ricky LaFleur over with that beautiful hair on Thor, and then you can't forget about Maddie, ever the strategist in hanging around shooting some arrows from afar, and their director who is absolutely massive, right?
True. He's been the one assembling the Avengers. He probably could have been Nick Fury, but like we don't have it in the image, so we'll just assume he's Hulk because of the big amount of effort they've been putting into this roster and in building something great with St. Clair, trying to build the program step by step with the Avengers. And maybe it's going to take a while before we reach the end game, but at the very least, they're doing a really good job.
Yeah, both teams have been doing a pretty good job, and specifically the bottom lanes of both teams. We mentioned it just a couple moments ago how Miracle has been so good. These 80 carries are really the spot to watch, and look at them shine, man.
Yep. You can see the in the highlights here, but obviously a lot of these highlights are going to pick up mobility just being the hyper carry and the rest of the team playing around him really really well, doing a really good job at team fighting. And this is one of the big highlights coming in from the side of Winthrop. It's having that big value of their 80 carry shining through, but also the team pushing them forward, allowing for the 80 carry to be the hyper carry at the end of the day. And that's the thing that you really, really care about. As on the other side with St. Clair, you can see something pretty similar with attempting to have Rockboom be the hyper carry, but in the same vein, you can see other players trying to step up a little bit more with the damage. Even if Rockboom dies, there's others that have been stepping up, particularly Ricky Lafleur. I think that has been having one of the better tournaments so far and can be one of the shining lights for St. Clair as well.
Absolutely, and it's just really fun to watch these highlights because there's a duality of players here, right? You can see
Yeah.
mobility very well protected by the rest of the team, and on this side, right, Rock Boom has been doing everything he can. He does exactly what an AD carry needs to do. He squeezes out a little bit of damage, even when he's in unfavorable positions. He was just in the middle of three guys right over the
Yep.
wall, completely turns the fight on its head. And he knows exactly when it's time to stay back, stay chill, and when it's time to go in and deal millions of damage.
Exactly, to try and turn around any weird situation, to try and pull it off really well. And that's kind of the strength of both of these teams. It's a powerball sort of team that play from both sides. Like both teams are powerballs in some ways, but the way that they execute on that powerball is really different. One is much more AD carry centric with how they play, and the other, even though they do have a great AD carry, they are willing to extend the strength all around the powerball and allow for multiple members to be the shining light if it requires them to.
Yeah, and you had mentioned a little bit before during that highlight reel of, a couple of other players in there that have done quite a bit.
Yep.
Ricky LaFleur, certainly a guy that has seen a lot of ban attention recently. I am interested to see if Winthrop is going to go the route that other teams have because they have their own beast in the top lane in Denethor.
Yeah.
This is going to be really, when you highlight the bottom lanes, everybody's like, oh my God, these AD carries so good, these supports so good. You want to take a look at the top lane. And I do wonder how these matchups will play out. I already have a feeling, so do have a couple of predictions out here. Take a look at everybody. It seems to be on the side of Winthrop. I'm of the opinion that's a 3-0. And I know for a fact that Rare Adam has decided no. He is actually on the side of St. Clair today.
Well, I'm on the side of St. Clair as well, and I'm thinking it's going to be a closer series than people expect. 3-2 is on my prediction, and I think that Winthrop still haven't given me a lot of things to believe in them. You can make the same argument for St. Clair, but I don't know. I just have that inkling that St. Clair can do great stuff today, especially if they are able to change some of their decision making early on. As we have double red Adam predictions, he's not going to lose today, it looks like.
No, Rare Adam is definitely going to be right. He has definitely selected the correct team. Uh, whether or not it be one team or the other remains to be seen. TDS, I must say, I would like you to break down a little bit more why you think the Saints are going to take
Yeah.
this 3-2. I really want to get your feelings on it because you and I could not be more polar opposites.
Yeah, that's true. Like I was battling with myself as well, thinking that Winthrop could take it, but not necessarily speaking about recent results, but I would say more the lack of results that Winthrop has pulled up in certain situations. And we were commenting this when talking about Winthrop in general, when trying to think about the team in general. They are a great team, don't get me wrong. They have been consistently good with what they try to attempt. But when it comes to clutching certain moments, they have left things to be desired. And particularly their bot lane mobility has left a lot to be desired when it comes to clutching out certain moments. So I just feel like maybe today is going to be something similar to what we've seen from Winthrop. As far as I remember, in terms of results, they have clutched one result out of their multiple results, and it's the ACL Grand Finals. So it's kind of difficult for me to really put them in that situation when I just don't think that they are going to be able to clutch it out today. Where I can give the benefit of the doubt to St. Clair because they at the very least Rockboom has done that when it comes to qualifying for NACL at the very least.
I can't really argue with you there, TDS. I mean, it's like watching some of my favorite Philadelphia sports teams when I watch Winthrop. They're so good, and I know they're so
Understandable.
good, but when it counts, they've had a bit of difficult times, and many have wondered how that affects their mentality. All right, I got to
Yep.
hang out with them a little bit last weekend at the CECC land in Texas, and they're still as even keel as ever. It feels like it hasn't affected them very much, so I am excited to see how their mentality can carry them in this series as we are into picks and bans here at TDS. So far, couple of surprises. That Tristana getting taken out, they really saw that Bakery Boy was having a good time on it. So
Yep.
Winthrop adjusting properly.
And also, it's a Rockman favorite, right? So you kind of have a double ban in the form of one, thanks to Rockman being one of the more Tristana players here. That being said, St. Clair are looking at banning away Denethor, and don't get me wrong, I do think that's probably a good idea. You'll want to try and put Denethor into one of his more uncomfortable champions. That doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, because Denethor can play a lot of champions really well. But at the very least, try and pigeonhole their draft as much as possible so that then you can allow for Ricky to have a much easier time. And then the Kalista at the end with the Barris ban, pretty normal. That's a lot of players that play this here. I'm expecting to see a Senna first pick or something like that if it's going to come through, but instead it's the Ash, and for mobility to have a winning bot lane, the Ashe can work out really well for Chukis if it goes down there.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting to see even just the draft strategy differ from team to team, right? Because
Yeah.
many teams were banning out the top laners of Ricky LaFleur. And this time around, Winthrop was like, well, listen, we've got our own god up in the top lane. It's all good. They've really liked this first pick, Ashe, to give it over to Chookies and just say, hey, we're going to win through our bot lane. We're going to give them a favorable lane. One champion that's been consistently banned away from the Saints is that Skarner. So Maddie is going to get his Skarner, which has been a bit of a terror.
Yeah, this corner. We've seen it fail though, and pretty much today from the side of Miz. We saw it fail a little bit, but it can be a strong champion, can be flex, and you have a great opportunity to combo it out with the Nico. Now, it was an immediate pickup from the side of Winthrop to go for this LeBlanc for sword. Not a bad choice, but this Nico is not necessarily going to be a mid lane champion. This can go to the support position. You can send it there. You have a lot of value with multiple AD carries. So surprised that they went so quickly for the LeBlanc, and then Denethor taking the Olaf. Could be a walkout Olaf, but I haven't seen anything recently to really show that it's going to be an Olaf in the jungle. So it's going to be more than likely be going there.
And we're going to see the Saints pick up Jax for the last pick of the first half of the draft. I really like this Jax pick. Olaf is a champion that gets in your face. LeBlanc is a champion that's going to have to get in close quarters in order to try to deal some damage to that. Jax Counter-Strike. Time it right, Ricky LaFleur. You will certainly be in a good spot. It could even go to Maddie, right? There is a world where you do see Skarner in support. But, I mean, if we're living in that world, you could just throw everything about the draft out the window. You just got to get into the game at that point, right?
Look, I would be more willing to think it's a Skarner support if it was like a Lissa in the bot lane, but as of now, it's kind of difficult for me to argue it's going to be the case. Now, with the remaining bans, once again, a lot of focus towards that top lane, thinking that maybe it's not going to be an Olaf inside of the top lane, maybe it's an Olaf jungle. It's kind of surprising to see it come through like this, and no bans in the AD carry position, where I'm not expecting to see mobility play this Ashe, for example. And Nautilus and Rel banned away as well, so not expecting to see this Nico in the support position either.
Yeah, I think St. Clair is going with, you know what, we think we have the better AD carry. He doesn't need any help.
Yep.
We're just going to say, you know what, mobility, pick what you want and try to win this lane, because this lane's going to give you hell all day long. And they just said, you know what, we'll just ban out Denethor's other champions, right? If you want to throw the Olaf in the top lane, we're super happy with that. If you want to put it in the jungle, well, now you got less champions to operate with. We saw that Kai'Sa come in. It's been a Rock Boom favorite throughout the tournament.
Yeah, and Rockboom may like this Kai'Sa, but this leaves open for a Jhin Ashe bot lane, and that's going to be so much chaos if we don't see a lane swap happen, right? Because if they just lane swap, then you can play away from the rest of the lanes, and it's going to come through like this, and it is going to be an Olaf in the jungle. So even though there's not really been an indication that Olaf has been popping up a lot in the jungle, it's going to come back, it looks like here. Maybe it's more of a matchup against the Skarner particularly, but with Maokai potentially coming through here, and I'm guessing it's going to be Maokai bot lane with the Kai'Sa, it's probably going to be that idea there. Really interesting choice of draft for both of these teams. I would say there's a lot of mid-game team fighting for both sides. One item power spikes are going to be so huge for both of these teams, but there's more team fighting potential on the side of St. Clair just because they have more ultimates to try and cover here. And I would say Denethor is pretty much the huge team fighting combination that can pull through here.
Yeah, and TDS, it's absolutely crazy. This draft is actually wild. Like, I've never seen Denethor play Kennen before. Mobility has played Jhin on very rare occasions. But as far as I know, this is one of Denethor's very few times, or maybe even the first time, picking Kennen into the top lane, into this Jax. As we get on to Summoner's Rift here for game one of this best of 5 between Winthrop University and St. Clair College. TDS, no lane swaps to be had, and I don't really think any team would want to opt into one here.
Yeah, it's looking like most teams are deciding away from lane swaps recently, and for the viewer, probably a little bit better because lane swaps can be a little bit boring in certain situations. For analysts, it's much fun because you can actually see certain patterns in certain situations that make it more entertaining for us. But overall, I do think this benefits Winthrop a little bit better because they do have the range advantage in bot lane, and they do have the range advantage in top lane as well. If Denethor can push the issue onto Riki and not allow him to farm really effectively, and then in mobility and Chukis can choke out Rogum for a lot of CS early on, then that advantage already can set up Walkout to invade inside of the jungle, try and put pressure onto Maddie, and then just allow for the early game to be really, really chaotic as Baker Boy taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, I really like how you pointed out Denethor needs to get this lead on Ricky, kind of set him behind, because Winthrop's early games have been pretty okay-ish. They've given up a lot of kills, but still find a way to be up in gold. And a lot of that has had to do with Denethor getting an advantage in the top lane and then moving it around the map. He's one of the best in CLOL at turning his advantages for the rest of the team.
Exactly, he's one of the better top laners. I honestly want him to not stay in collegiate anymore. I would love to see him moving up. If it's not with Winthrop, to any other NECL team would be great because I just think that he's a great player. But in general, the way that they are doing stuff, the way that they play around him is always great to see. And a lot of trading here in the mid lane. They really want to fight here, Baker Boy and Sword. Two players that not a lot of people consider hyper carries when you think about how they are seen, but their usage for the team is always great to see because they set up for the team success really effectively. And oh,
Uh-oh.
Sword,
Oh,
Soul Kill.
Bakery Boy, one more
Oh
auto.
wait,
Sword, the
Sword is
minions,
dead.
the flash, sword. Oh,
Oh,
sword's still alive. The sword is chipped, but the sword is still usable as Bakery Boy manages to escape just barely. Wow. That was TDS. That was something. These guys are just going at it.
yeah, they really want to fight. And just as I mentioned them being a stronger just dual players, they just immediately want to go for the solo kill. It is a Bakery Boy win though, because no flash blown by the Nico, flash blown by Sword. This Levank still has a lot of ability, so it's not going to be the worst situation ever.
Yeah, and really the gall of Bakery Boy to stand in there and auto away from death, going, "I'm not going to flash. I'm going to kill you." So that's I mean, this guy is just ready to go, right? This guy is no fear of the opposing team. Nameplates off, we don't care.
Yep.
You can see Wokao on the bottom side here. They're looking to get an invade onto Maddie. Wokao down to about half HP. The bottom lane of St. Clair has had a bit of a rough time. Bakery Boy on the move here as well as Sword. So this blue buff looks like it'll just reset.
Yeah, it's going to reset. They don't want to opt into the fight here, and I think it's just respectful. Even if you don't take the blue buff here, it's still taking time from Maddie, and you can see that Wolkow is already really far ahead from the Skarner. He's already more than two camps ahead. He's already trying to set up the push into the lanes, and he's one level ahead. So even if it's not a blue buff collection, you value what he's been able to do in the map to just delay Maddie for as much as possible as maybe a bot lane play though.
Yeah. Cow gonna show up. Meanwhile, in
Ooh.
the bottom lane, Maddie is here, forced the summoners out of mobility. Mobility a little low, so is Shookies. They're trying to squeeze as much damage out as they can. The Winthrop bottom lane will limp away.
They limp away, three summoners blown, particularly the most important ones, mobility with no cleanse nor flash. Against a Maokai with the Hex Flash, that always can be a threat to just attack the AD carry from the side of Winthrop. And if you attack the AD carry from Winthrop, that is going to take away from their time. And this is one of the things that I dislike from the gym a little bit. It's not necessarily a bad champ anymore, one that I would say don't pick up at all, but it is a champion that if you stun his early game, then trying to reach to the later part is going to be a bit more complicated. His utility is always there, don't get me wrong, but you do want to have him be able to shut down champions or be able to burst out champions as quickly as possible. And if you're able to delay that, it's going to be great for your team.
We saw Olaf take some more camps as Winthrop has been doing a good job of absorbing the pressure put on by Maddie, and then doing
No.
quite a bit to get himself ahead, right? He has said, guys, just handle the Skarner early. That's totally fine. We are going to go and just farm up this jungle, right, and get really, really
Yep.
big. And I think that's the right way to go about it, mostly because you take a look at these lanes. They don't have a whole lot of setup for Olaf. It's not something we really covered, but,
Yep.
you've got a couple of stuns, right? If Kennen manages to land a stun on the Jax, right, then Olaf can come in and take advantage. If LeBlanc lands chains, you have to land a root in the bottom lane out of the Jin. But other than that, it's not like any, hey, point and click, Olaf, it's time to come in and run at them.
Well, interestingly enough, I think that the biggest timers for the gank attempt for Olaf comes at level sixes, right? Because Cannon level six sets up the stuns much easily, so you can try and set up the up there in the top lane. Then in the bot lane, you have Ash ultimate plus W from the Jin, so there is a way to set it up. But it comes after a certain time, like it's after a certain moment that you can actually make this work out for the side of Winthrop. But overall, I like the initial idea because even if the Olaf cannot attempt to go into ganking, if you can stop this corner from doing the same, that's going to be pretty comfortable for them. We were watching Winthrop being able to win the bot lane just by virtue of how they were playing it, and then top lane is pretty much the same affair. Even though we haven't panned up there much, the Denethor still has control over there. So as long as the Olaf prevents the Skarner from doing anything, that's pretty much like ganking or like trying to control the game to a certain degree.
Yeah, he hasn't really stopped Matty from doing things, but he has just told his team, I'm just playing for myself here. And why not, right? You take a look at the team
Yep.
that's lined up on the other side. Olaf hits the R button and nobody's stopping him, right? Your Nico knockup, whatever. The tangle barbs, okay, buddy. The suppression out of Skarner, yeah, buddy, whatever, man. I got my own built-in ability that acts like a QSS. You can't stop this guy in the heavy amount of slows that can come out from the other
Yep.
side, mostly out of Chookies, can do so much to just allow Olaf to continue to get auto attacks off, continue to keep his Ragnarok up. It's really weird because typically you see Winthrop play through other avenues, mostly Denethor. Sometimes Wakao is the guy that they play through, but this is really the first time in a while that you're seeing Wakao on a true carry that is like not even ganking, that is mostly just farming.
Yeah, and crucially, one that can make a big difference because it's going to be the one that can reach the backline. Like you're mentioning, nothing's going to stop him from reaching that backline. And it's also going to be one that has quite a lot of damages. That's a lot of damage that Sword is taking there. And even though they stop Bakery Maddie from taking away the camps, it's still really good for the side of Winthrop to try and just push them away from the jungle as much as possible. I also want to see in teamfights, by the way, if we get to that spot, if Rockham just decides randomly to, if the Olaf comes in, if someone goes into the backline, then he just follows up and tries and goes for the kill. Oh,
Seeing things happen in the bottom lane as
well,
Mobility is in a bad spot
mobility
with
that
no summoners, and first blood is going to go over to Rock Boom for St. Clair.
that was easy. I would say that was really easy for them to pull off. But this is the thing with Jin. If you have no summoners, it's really easy to follow up on it. And with a jungler like this Skarner that can go in on the side and just sets up the perfect success for the team, it's so easy to set it up. I like the way that they were playing this around because they were baiting or at the very least trying to pressure onto Wakao's jungle, but then immediately after they moved out, they just go bot, they pressure mobility, and then they take the advantage there. First blood for Rockboom, and they also take the first dragon.
Yeah, and we saw there was a large CS lead at the beginning of the game, but after Maddie's first gank, they were able to equal things out. And after the second gank, obviously able to get that kill. That's why Skarner is so powerful, man. The ability to just go through walls,
Yep.
take Winthrop by surprise down there. We saw on screen Wakao able to get a trade of the Grubs in. So it's not the end of the world for Winthrop University as Maddie
Ooh.
in a little bit of trouble, forced to flash away. Wakao unable to close out on that kill. No ghosts either.
Go wait, what happened bot lane
Whoa.
though?
I don't know what happened to the bot lane, but Mobility and Chookies get the job done and get one back onto Miracle, which is exactly what Winthrop needed this bot lane, bouncing back quickly.
100%, really quick kill. And this is the thing, no interaction from anyone else means that you get control of the bot lane via mobility and Chukis' advantage in range, and they get a really nice kill into Miracle. We already saw that Miracle was taking quite a bit of damage before, but now with that kill for mobility, recovering a little bit of the state of the lane and making it so that Rockboom doesn't have an in advantage over the 80 carry from the side of Winthrop already. As, oh, there's a gang attempt here. Oh,
Oh, yeah, they're
Ricky.
going to make a play onto Ricky Denethor, about half HP, but Jungler for Winthrop is here. It's just a matter of taking him down. That stun goes out.
Yep.
Ricky is going to flash away. He does not have any help coming, and Denethor will get the kill.
Yeah, I will say weird flash there from Riki because there was barely any chance for him to escape. He didn't even have Counter Strike. He used it to try and push the wave, but in the same timing, it's a walkout gang, so everything working out massively well there for Winthrop. They are going to push into the turret. Another play potentially for Denethor unless Maddie collects the farm there. But overall, really nice read, and maybe they are looking for a little bit more here in the mid lane.
Bakery boy, well, not taking
Yeah, it's
axe, just
fine.
barely avoiding it. Tucks the tail in just a little bit.
Pretty comfortable for them. And Miracle setting up a potential play here has Hex Slash, has Flash actually, so he can go in whenever he wants.
Yeah, it is a bit of a rough time to want to go in here as Mobility
True.
now at level 6. Miracle still at level 4 means that he's going to take a lot of damage from a curtain call out of Jin. So I think St. Clair, they're cool to just chill out a little bit here, have fun, farm up. But you've seen Winthrop has been able to regain the CS lead. And speaking of CS leads, I mean, you just take a look at the top lane, right? Denethor is so far ahead, does so much damage to Riki despite the Mercury treads.
Ricky does like to go in, but I'm not sure if you want to take the longer trades there, because the Kennedy is going to be a big of a problem with how those trades are working out. And Ricky now, with the difference in CS, with the fact that he has to use this, may be dead here.
Stun is out.
Oh, wait.
Denethor trying to buy time for the slicing maelstrom. It's about to be up. Ricky is very low. Let Q lands. Ricky is in so much trouble here.
Yep.
And Denethor will clean him up without an ultimate.
Exactly. It's really easy there for Denethor. Not even ultimate needed at the end because you just have the flash advantage and able to run away. And this is the thing with the range. Ooh.
Maddie
Maddie
is going to come through over the wall. Denethor is not looking. Denethor will be able to drop the ultimate and make sure that Maddie isn't able to do much more. The rock comes in, but the rock is not strong enough to defeat Denethor.
Denethor able to escape there with just a niggling of life. Really nice for the side of Winthrop. He's going to come back, but here is a big, bulky Viking waiting on the side. Yeah, I don't think he's going to go for this.
It looks like he did spot him out. So Wokow is right on top of things. Maddie has to scuttle away. He did say last week that they're happy drawing Winthrop, but certainly respects them and certainly paying his respects there on that attempt to kill Denethor.
Yeah, understandably so, you probably are not going to find a lot of value if you're going that aggressively there. And as of now, important to look at not only the advantage that Winthrop has in terms of the kills and the control, but also the gold. They have 1,000 gold more than their counterparts. They are doing a really good job, and maybe they want to fight for these grubs. There's multiple members up here already.
Yeah, everybody heading up except for the AD carries. Denethor still without a slicing maelstrom, as it looks like the grubs will go over to Winthrop. They've secured 5 of them, so St. Clair is just going to give up the last one here. So Winthrop going to get this pushing power for their side laners.
Exactly, getting a little bit of extra pushing power. For the cannon, it's always good because you are actually able to try and go into the side lane and brittle down onto the turrets really well, so it's going to be a nice advantage to have. Same for the LeBlanc, it's a great side lane champion, as well as having the advantage of pretty much able to solo kill almost anyone not named Maddie or Ricky. So there is good chances for the side of Winthrop to try and put pressure there. For St. Clair though, even though you don't have the grubs, if you try and put pressure onto the dragon, that could be a potential advantage that you have and something to play around with. Wait, who that? Oh wait, it's Rockman with Eclipse.
Yep, Rockboom has picked up that Eclipse. Nobody's trying to land a snare onto him because his jungler and support are here. Dragon has been started up. Is about a half HP right now. We'll see if Sword, he's going to be able to get the first move on here. This Dragon down below 1,000 HP, secured, but here comes Olaf. They're going to look to take down Miracle. There's the Pop Blossom, but it doesn't do a whole lot. They get enough damage down, but Sword comes through. But here's Ricky LaFleur on the teleport, double stun up. Chucky's going to be the target. Mobility is just trying to shoot Ricky, but there's not much he can do. He manages to root him to try to keep Chucky's alive for right now, and it looks like Chucky's does find a way out. Meanwhile, on the top side, Denethor continuing to do more. Ricky's got no HP. This counter-strike's going to fall. Mobility can't get the 4th shot, hops away, manages to take it out, but now Mobility is in trouble because Rockboom is here, and he's getting a big shutdown. He's 4-0.
So it is 4 kills or 4-0 for Rockboom down here. Denethor didn't have teleport, so he is going to take full advantage out of what happened down there in the bot lane. And I'm not sure if this is a big advantage for St. Clair or not, because Denethor is going to be incredibly strong looking into a future fight. They also were able to collect a couple of kills on the side of Winthrop, so it's not a complete loss. I do think that Winthrop gets the advantage here, even if their Rockboom is currently 4-0, because the one champion that can put a stop onto Rockboom is Denethor, and Wokow as well to a certain degree, but Denethor with an ultimate, doesn't matter if you're Rockboom or not, you're going to get completely destroyed by the Maelstrom.
Winthrop with about a 2,000 gold lead, looking pretty solid, and you know, the one thing that we talked about a little bit earlier is Denethor really good at translating his leads into other lanes. He is up darn near 60 CS right now. He's got 2 kills up on Ricky LaFleur. I mean, take a look at this gold gap. It's the 2,000 gold lead is almost all on Denethor.
Exactly. Not even the advantage that Rockboom has in the bot lane. It's going to matter compared to that Denethor advantage. But it's a mix of the situation of what has been going up there in the top lane, and the fact that because there's barely any jungle interaction in favor of St. Clair for top lane, then Denethor has a really good free pass up there. He has been playing it really well as well, so it's no surprise that he's this far ahead. But there needs to be something that St. Clair does to try and control this cannon. Be it either poking from a safe distance and not allowing him to do anything, or just killing him fast enough that he's not going to turn around. Bakery Boy.
Bakery Boy's just dead. The sword takes him down.
Ouch.
The bread has been sliced in half by the very long knife. And I want to give a lot of credit to Winthrop in this early game. Their early games have been, as we said earlier, a little hit or miss at times, and for St. Clair. But the plates have gone heavily in the direction of Winthrop before they just fell a couple moments ago. They got 3 in the bot lane. Denethor got 4 up in the top lane, got the first turret as well on top of it. They are cruising. They pick up the Rift Herald. This is the time where they can snowball the game heavily out of control.
Yeah, this is one of their best moments to try and pull it off. And like we talked, it's a lot on the one item power spikes for multiple members. Everyone pretty much has a first item apart from the Ashe. And this is a point where you can actually be really, really strong as Winthrop. You can play from a safe distance. You can also play with a little bit of skirmish in mind with the Rift Herald as well. There's really easy ways to try and burst out and turrets. So there's really good ways for Winthrop to try and push the issue here. It's going to be a lot on how they make it happen, but in general, so far this early game has been really, really good for them. And I would argue, yes, Winthrop's early games were a little bit questionable, but I would say St. Clair's were much more questionable. So the fact that it's working out for them probably comes from one being a little bit worse in that idea.
Well, we're going to see an engagement go down onto the Olaf here. The CC immunity means that Wokao is slowed, trying to find a way out, but sniped by Rockboom. Here come the roots out from the Maokai. They're going to be able to catch Sword, but can they catch up to him? Nice move there by Sword to try to get away with that distortion. Miracle very low, down on the backside. That Maelstrom slices through everybody, and they're going to take everybody out on the side of St. Clair. Everybody falls. Bakery Boy manages to stay alive. What a huge play by Denethor.
Yeah, I would argue trying to go for El Blanc is never a really good idea, especially with how far away they were. But this is the thing, Rockboom may be 5-0, but Denethor just needs to press one bottom and he deletes Rockboom from the game. Perfect angle that they find on the back. They get the 80 carry from the side of St. Clair, and they also play up of Ricky Don't not having teleport. So it's perfect timing, perfect angle, and they get another big advantage. Plus, they were also able to take down the bot lane turret in the process. They still have Rift Herald, so this can be even more gold that Winthrop can get in the long run, just by virtue of how they've been playing this early game so well.
It has been fantastic. St. Clair has forced Rockboom to be in positions to play hero ball, right? He's got to be the guy to get the job done, and he has been in games past. They're going to need another fantastic game out of Rockboom in order to bring this one back, as Winthrop, the carry that we expected, Wokao, no kills, 2 deaths, 3 assists. He's actually just been the bait this whole time because the rest of Winthrop has been able to pick up these kills and take advantages. They're going to drop the Rift Herald in the mid lane. St. Clair is going to try and take this third Drake, put themselves on soul point, but they pull off of it because of the Herald.
Interestingly enough, they did start it, but then immediately went away. The Rift Herald does crash into the turret, and there is some...
Denethor is forced to use his ultimate on the bottom side real quick. Miracle is going to drop his ultimate down. Great job eating a lot of the roots.
Denethor is dead?
Denethor is down on the bottom side. Wokao is trying to limp away, and Rockboom dashes forward and manages to find a kill. It's a 2-0 for St. Clair.
Wait, how did that happen? How did Denethor die on the side, and then just like that, they take down Wokao 0-3, and maybe...
Bakery Boy's the target. They CC lock him up. Winthrop will be able to get one back. This dragon's still being done, and it looks like nobody will be able to stop it on the side of Winthrop. They will take the mid turret for it.
Yeah, a little bit of a mistake there by Bakery Boy getting picked off just like that, but they do collect the dragon. It is also a bounty, and it's going to be really good value for the side of St. Clair. They are on soul point, but crucially... Oh, wait.
Curtain call coming out from Jin, trying to just deal a lot of damage to Miracle. Fourth shot gonna land, take him pretty low. Not gonna get all too much from there. Maddie gonna get rooted up, but now on the side, Miracle has been picked. He's in a little bit of trouble. Dodges out of the root. Sword needs to try to find this kill, but Ricky shows up to try and slow him down. Forced to distort over the wall.
Yeah, Denethor arrives here, so stopping any chance to go after the sword as well. But even though the game had been looking so positive for the side of Winthrop, now it reaches a point where it's kind of weird because they are still in the lead, they do have control of the map, they were able to push into the turret, but they are allowing themselves to be kind of put in a spot where one more teamfight like this could mean an soul, sorry. And that soul, for someone like Rockman that is opting for a mix of a build where you have poke plus damage, can be really risky as red buff fight here.
Yeah, Bakery Boy is in the area, but it looks like no troubles to be had there. And it's as you said, TDS, despite the fight going St. Clair's way, Winthrop still, they increased the gold lead a little bit more, right? It's 5,500. Ricky is going to go right at Denethor. Denethor has been having problems with him now, and here comes Maddie trying to make a play. Slicing Maelstrom coming out, but it's not going to be enough. Denethor is going to get picked on the side lane once again. Meanwhile, near the top side, the mid side of the jungle, Miracle is going to fall, but Mobility's in trouble. His Blossom gets popped, and he gets popped. Watau trying to find a way out, but he can't Hexgate away, and it's starting to fall apart for Winthrop.
Rockboom is being left untouched in some of these fights. Like, yes, Wokow finding Miracle, it's looking great. But then you see Rockboom just free hitting the Olaf. You see them losing out on Denethor, utilizing the Maelstrom to try and escape. But that's going to be not as productive as when you have the team fight. And St. Clair is just finding better angles to make the most out of certain picks in certain fights. They have been recovering quite well into this game. The gold lead is still in favor. Oh, teleport in the back.
Simply put, it's easier for St. Clair to move around. They're going to try to make a play, but Rockboom slides out of there. Good TP by Denethor, but even better play by Rockboom.
That was smooth. Really, really smooth by Rockboom there. And just like that, they escape, teleport out for Denethor. Now a flanking angle is not going to be easy to find for them in the potential next team fight. And that teleport is going to be down for the next Dragon, if I'm not wrong.
Winthrop's mid games have typically been pretty solid, but they are struggling right now. We saw the ult from Chookies come down, but it didn't hit the right target. Meanwhile, Bakery Boy is just on the wrong side of the tracks, and Maddie is not even going to be close to helping him out. Bakery Boy is going to have to do a lot to try to find a way out here. The Nico clone's trying to do his thing, but it looks like he'll be picked off on the side lane. Sword, his 5th kill. 15 stacks on the Medjais. We're seeing pings near the top side. I don't think St. Clair can bear it.
Exactly. They could have attempted it, but I don't think that this is the point of the game where you go for it. Rockboom is their main damage dealing or champion to try and go for the Baron buff, but it's probably not the smartest idea to try and go for it right now. Especially, I do think that they don't need to risk the game completely over this Baron buff, because once again, they do have 3 dragons. So as long as they just wait for that last dragon, maybe they can play it out. Oh,
Rockboom potentially in trouble here. Miracle gonna get his ult out, but here comes Wokow bearing down on Rockboom, who flashes away, and they manage to turn it around. And now Maddie trying to lead the charge on the side, but Sword gets yet another kill. He's got 19 stacks now. They need to stop this LeBlanc.
Yeah, the LeBlanc has to be stopped to a certain degree, but then you also see Rockboom getting the kills anyway. He's doing so much damage now, 7-1, probably going to get the Void Stab in this next back, so it's just going to be so much damage coming in from the Kai'Sa as well. And there's actually no magic resistance coming in from the side of Winthrop, so the damage that Rockboom will deal from a safe distance is going to be quite high. It's fun how this game has become kill Rockboom, you win the game.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a lot of games for St. Clair, right? You have to take this guy down, but in the clutchest moments, Rockboom keeps on coming out on top again and again and again. He single-handedly saved St. Clair multiple times last week. He is trying to turn this game in favor of St. Clair as we're headed near the 3rd dragon. It's going to be up very shortly, just about 30 seconds. TDS, this game has gotten real good.
Yeah, it's a lot on the team fight, there's been a lot of kills, and it's important to look at the flank angles. Denethor is trying to find one on the side. You're looking for Maddie here, there's a lot of CC to stun the Skarner.
They managed to chunk him out. Really good stuff there by Winthrop, just need a little bit more. Winthrop have been one of the best late game teams in CLOL, getting to the 23-minute mark with this 4th dragon, this soul potentially for St. Clair. Late game has come early.
They're trying really hard to find their angle on the side. Denethor is also trying really hard to get into the Tribush, but they were able to ward it. So they know about it. Yeah, they have the Hex Gate as well. This poking battle is kind of fun, but look at the top lane in this moment quickly. There's a huge wave as well there. They have angles.
Oh, Denethor's been caught on the side. He walked into a warded brush, and he goes down. Another critical error from the Winthrop top laner. And the soul should go to St. Clair. We'll see if Winthrop wants to fight for it. They are forced out.
Yeah, I don't think they can. Rockboom's poke has been so good at dealing damage from such a safe distance, and what we were talking about, there was such a huge wave in the top lane crashing, and it's still up there. Maybe they can take that top lane turret, but the dragon at the very least, and the soul is going in favor of St. Clair. Really nice decision making there by St. Clair, and I love this because it's something that teams do fail sometimes at doing. Take your time when you have poke, because if the poke hits, the fight it's never going to happen the same way, and it's on Winthrop to make it happen, especially with Denethor, since they don't have a lot of tools to engage, and it's mainly on Chuki's long range arrow or Denethor finding a flank. Then you can play for the poke, and Rockboom and St. Clair are doing that perfectly.
Yeah, St. Clair's warding has been top notch. They've always been acutely aware of where Denethor could be. Last week, St. Clair, they seemed surprised at times if you engaged on them. But this time around, so far here in Game 1, they are well aware. There's no surprises to be had. They have shut down Winthrop's offensive, and they have closed this gold gap quite a bit. And of course, you have to remember the value that they get out of the soul, not going to be listed on the gold charts.
Yeah, it's not going to be listed there, but it's quite a good amount of damage. And also, when you think about the poke from Rockboom, that's going to be something quite bothersome to deal with. Like, that's a lot of damage and also quite a bit of slow coming through. Sword, maybe Glacier, it's going to be fine.
And out CDS, how does Winthrop take control back of this game? It feels like even if Denethor comes in with an ultimate, it might not be enough at this point. I'll hold that thought, because we're going to see an engagement go down. Watau forced to run away. Curtain call coming out. Ricky LaFleur taking quite a bit of damage. Fourth shot not going to land. And the Winthrop jungler forced to run away.
Well, the important part is that they didn't use, at the very least, teleport or ultimate from Denethor, and that's the big difference maker. Yes, Cal did take a lot of damage, but look at the health burst from Rockboom, for example. He's been forced out of position as well. Now, speaking about how Winthrop can do, it's not like the game is in a horrible spot for them either. Yes, the soul is really bothersome, and this does threaten the Elder to come much quicker, but that can be a win condition for Winthrop as well. The big thing, though, is trying to keep the side lane pressure as heavily as possible, because they need to have control for Denethor to be able to come from the back. They need to have places for him to be able to teleport in, and then also make use of the Hex Gate. This can still be done as long as they keep control of the side lanes, which they were doing for a certain degree, but they need to have control of the side lanes where they want to fight in the near future. Like, if they want to fight for Baron, control top lane. If they want to fight for Dragon, control the bot lane, and that way you open up the space for Denethor to be a threat.
It's been hard for them to get control of these side lanes, mostly because Ricky LaFleur, with those Mercury Treads, has done so much against the double magic damage dealing solo laners for Winthrop. You know, if LeBlanc is stuck in a 1v1 with Jax, you're not getting any more stacks, right? You need those stacks on the Medjais. Meanwhile, Maddie is coming through, looking to find a way onto Chuki's here. Chuki's forced to flash away. The sword is low, so he can't go in. Wow, look at the damage from Rockboom.
Yeah, and the thing is, they have complete control over the top side. So this Baron buff can be done quite quickly. Rockboom does a lot of single target damage here. And yep, they have the control as well with the Nico to try and go for a little bit of a flank. Denethor is being controlled as well by Riki. So there may be a chance where we don't even see the cannon coming in here to try and stop this Baron buff.
It's a 4v4 for right now. Baron down to 5,000. Teleports coming in. Jax has joined the team, and here comes Kennen. Denethor's got to get in there. Baron secured for St. Clair. Denethor waiting. Denethor, the slicing Maelstrom is there. Bakery Boy comes in with a Pop Blossom. It doesn't do a whole lot. He's got to go golden. The Baron may have gone to St. Clair, but Winthrop claimed the kills. They've got 3 right now. Ricky has to get away. He gets hit with a long-range Ashel, but it looks like he will be able to get away.
They have a really good push into the mid lane, so they can try and take this down. And that's the thing, though. I'm not sure what Riki wanted to teleport there, because they have control over the side, and they knew that it was going to be difficult for Denethor to TP in, as that is a lot of damage. And that's going to be, Denethor maybe. Ooh.
He's all right, but it's going to be hard for St. Clair to take advantage of this Genji Baron buff, because they just don't have the numbers right now. They don't have the map control quite yet. But with these Hex Gates, we'll see if they're able to make a fast play. Sword still hanging around, but Winthrop wisely backing out.
Yeah, they know that they cannot push more of the issue here. I do like, though, that they did get the mid lane turret. They pushed the wave, so they were able to control it a little bit. And there's not like big opportunities for St. Clair to try and take advantage of here. They can maybe move towards the top side to try and push down onto the top lane turret, or for the bot lane to try and control the bot side of the map, like we were talking about potentially for the next objective. That being said, Baron Buff is going to be active for the dragon coming up, and that's Elder, so that is game winning if Winthrop is not careful about this. And same for St. Clair, actually.
Keep in mind that Denethor kept this flash in his back pocket for that fight, so he'll have it for the next one, and that's going to happen in about a minute or so, because you know both of these teams are going to be itching to take this Elder Dragon. Ash ult coming through, but Rock Boom able to definitely dodge out of the way. Still has only died once. It's been really tough for Winthrop to take him out. Rock Boom has done what he can this game. Maddie getting rooted up, Ricky on the side, looking for control.
Everyone wants to get control, and trying to get control when the dragon is so close is one of the most important moments for the game. Now, they've been pushing the waves really nicely. It's Bakery Boy going towards the bot side to maybe get the push, but he's also trying to find a good angle on the side, and that can be game defining if the side of Winthrop is not careful. He's on the back.
Yeah, ping him out, look for him. He's been pinged out by Winthrop. They know he's in the area. They just need to be careful. Rock Boom gets back there, it'll be bad news. He's a little low on mana. Oh, it is. Rock Boom gonna dash forward. He's just completely out of mana right now. Here we go. Ultimate's coming down. They all go to Denethor. They take him out. Bakery Boy from behind on top of Watau. Watau trying to run away, but he's got to go in full retreat. Mobility off to the side. Sword stays alive. And you're right, TDS. That looks like it could be Elder for St. Clair.
There is Hex Gates for Watau. Sword is alive. Mobility is alive. They have ways to stop this dragon, but there is a lot of damage. There is no mana on Rock Boom. You did call it out, and it's going to take them a little bit before they can get in. Watau doesn't have flash though. There is Blast Blast.
Sword's got a fully stacked Magi's, and he's ready to use it. Ricky trying to make things happen. He's still okay and alive for right now. Dragon down very low. The Blast Plant taken. Sword trying to get in there, but he can't. Elder Dragon secured for St. Clair.
It's so scary how Sword going in with a full stack Magi's can potentially steal this out. He's still 7-0, but it's going to be Elder going for St. Clair, and they have the control of the game that they really wanted to. They may not have the gold lead, but they have the gold in the member that they really want to have the gold. Rock Boom.
Rock Boom. That's all you gotta say.
Yeah.
Rock Boom is the GOAT, to be honest. For those who may remember the scene where Captain America is just holding on, trying to prevent the gauntlet from closing of Thanos. This is exactly what you're seeing on Summoner's Rift right now. Rock Boom is willing his team so far, and the rest of the squad has done a fantastic job of really keeping Winthrop in check. And really, for the longest time, it feels like St. Clair has all of the momentum right now. They just need a little bit more to put themselves over the top. As you can see, they have control of the map this time around.
And by the way, this is probably one of the scariest points of the game where Rock Boom is going to be alive, because he has Elder, he has Soul, he has Blue Buff, so he can just continually throw out these Praise Seekers and try and hit someone. That's going to be extra scary.
Ash ult.
Arrow hits, but nobody to follow.
Yeah, they actually hit their target.
Yeah, it's probably the best arrow so far that Chukis has hit, because it hit the most important member. The problem is that they were so far away that it was difficult to follow up on it, and it's understandable why they don't follow up on it, right? Like, if you commit here, overcommit, and you don't kill Rock Boom, that may be game.
Well, we'll see what Winthrop University is able to do. Their backs are the ones against the wall here, because this Elder Dragon buff still on. The chunk still coming through. Turret's beginning to fall. The gold lead has been equalized, TDS. St. Clair need one more good fight to potentially take a victory here in game one.
Yeah, but we are 32 minutes in. That does mean that one good fight for Winthrop can happen.
Grasping Roots coming out. They get on some priority targets. Yep. Down goes Sword. Denethor getting CC'd as they're all in the middle of things. As leading away are Maddie and Ricky. Everybody blasted away by the Dragon's Breath. And Winthrop gets snapped out of existence. St. Clair are taking game one.
And guess what, Danny? It's not going to be a 3-0 for Winthrop. It's looking like us. First game St. Clair came to play. Rock Boom, Ricky, and everyone from the Canadian side doing a really good job in this first game.
St. Clair College, not an ounce of quit in them, man. Winthrop did exactly what they wanted to do in the early game. They got super far ahead. They translated their lead. They were cruising. And then all of a sudden, St. Clair, they dug their heels into the dirt. The Bucks stopped there. They were able to hold on tight and turn it around on Winthrop for a shocking game one victory. No surprise of upsets so far here this weekend for the CLOL Championship.
Yeah, it's looking so good for St. Clair, and it's looking so good for Rockboom so far. Really great game at the end there. I think he died just once in the whole of the game.
Yeah.
Pretty well played coming in from the side of St. Clair. But you also have to shout out the way that they managed out a lot of the situations because it was really difficult with how their early game was starting, right? They were down quite a lot of gold, they were down important objectives, but they played the dragon fights really, really well. And the crucial turning point was killing Kennen on the bot lane, then taking down the dragon, and then being able to ride that wave. Even though Denethor was doing amazingly great, Ricky found an angle to go get that soul kill going. And after the soul kill, it just completely crumbled for the side of Winthrop. And that's why I want to shout out Ricky as well, because he was suffering in the early game. But he played out this game so, so, so well.
Yeah, you mentioned that it was one of our matchups to watch, right? And in the early game, it was all Denethor, but as the game progressed, Ricky started doing a lot,
Yeah.
preventing Winthrop from getting anything going in the side lanes. There's gonna have to be a lot of adjustments on the Winthrop side. They had a hard time getting to the back line of St. Clair, and with positioning like Rock Booms, you're gonna need to try and deal with that. We're gonna take a very short break, but when we do, we're going to check out some words from our sponsors, specifically Ole Miss, thanking them so much for putting up some ads for us here. We'll see you soon.